So I'm going to try my best to take a bunch of the other pieces of small information and tidbits here and there to form a bigger narrative as to what the Calgary Flames could be on the horizon of doing. Right now, this is a Google search that is on your screen right here. I am taking a look at the Calgary Flames and their connections to one very specific player on the Buffalo Sabres. Of course, you already know from the title and from the thumbnail, this was discussed on the Flames Nation show as well on YouTube. Today we're diving over into Peyton Krebs, a center who is on the Sabres right now playing in a fourth line role. And right now Elite Prospects isn't really cooperating with me, but either way, Krebs is in a really interesting spot for the Buffalo Sabres this year. 23 years old, 6 feet, 187, a top pick from the 2019 NHL Draft by the Vegas Golden Knights. Like all Vegas Golden Knights prospects, he eventually got traded away from that organization, finding himself in Buffalo in what was the Jack Eichel trade. Now, Krebs this season has 3 points in 7 games played, coming off of a 17-point year last year and 26 points the year before that. The thing is, he actually had his best season in Buffalo after that Jack Eichel trade. 22 points in 48 games played. You do the points per game, you do the math, and you would recognize that Krebs actually had a pretty stable point production metric in this 21-22 year. But he got sent down, he played a significant amount of time in the AHL, and the seasons after did not have him producing as much or even a fraction of the same point production per game in the National Hockey League. He declined in points the year after, he got even fewer the year after that, and now this season, Peyton Krebs is on pace for 35 points in 81 games played. But the problem with that is that he actually did just re-sign to stay in Buffalo after this season, or this previous season, excuse me. He's got a contract that's a bridge deal, a $1.45 million AAV, until the end of 2025-2026. And while that's not the most crazy out-of-this-world dollar amount ever, nor is it really the cheapest, Peyton Krebs is in a weird spot because if you look at the Buffalo Sabres, they did make a trade just recently that dethroned Peyton Krebs' spot on the lineup, as now he is on the fourth line with Beck Mallenstein and Sam Lafferty. It's Ryan McLeod over here, who was acquired by the Buffalo Sabres in a trade with the Oilers back on July 2024. This was right after free agency began, and a lot of people were kind of saying, okay, well, they're getting McLeod. He's a pretty alright player, and to his credit, I mean, McLeod has 5 points in 8 games played. He's been getting minutes, he's been thrusted into that third line spot, and Peyton Krebs got moved down in the lineup one tier because of it. So with all of this in mind, there has been some sort of an idea floating around that maybe a guy like Peyton Krebs could be interested in an NHL home elsewhere. Maybe the fact that he had signed a bridge deal doesn't guarantee his security in Buffalo, and now with the extra trade and the demotion for Peyton Krebs, you can say that that narrative has pushed itself even further. In fact, this isn't even the first time we're talking about Krebs in a trade-like capacity, because this was posted by the Hockey News back on July 11th, 2024. Michael Del Rosa said that Peyton Krebs could be a target forward for the Calgary Flames. This article will be linked in the description, but it goes out there and says this, that the Sabres have made several additions to their bottom six. McLeod, Zucker, Mallenstein, Lafferty, and Aubé-Kubel are all newcomers for the Sabres, and the bottom half of their lineup is looking a bit crowded because of it. With this, it seems possible that the Sabres could move forward before the season, and Krebs is a potential candidate. With the additions of McLeod and Lafferty down the middle, I mean, okay, Lafferty's playing in the wing. He played in the wing in Vancouver as well, but I digress. Krebs may run into some trouble fitting into the lineup. The article then goes out there and says that the Calgary Flames stand out as a potential team for a destination. They are a retooling club looking for young talent that could help them in the long term. Krebs would have the potential to be just that for Calgary if acquired. The Flames could use more help down the middle, and Krebs would be a clear candidate for their fourth-line center spot because of it. In addition, when looking at the Flames' current roster, the Calgary native would also be an option for their penalty kill. Nevertheless, if the Sabres made Krebs available this offseason, don't be surprised if the Flames come knocking. They look like an excellent fit on paper for Krebs. Now, speaking about this, As we had spoken about as well, there were extra conversations about Krebs and the Flames, particularly on the Flames Nation podcast. This was also posted about on different articles, and you even had this tweet going out there from CMP Dave that gave some really interesting ideas and information out there onto the internet. It sounds like the Calgary Flames did table an offer on a 23-year-old center. I've been asked not to share the name yet until there's more information. The player is believed to be not happy with just being bridged in his deal and bumped out of his position in the lineup from a trade. Sounds like the team's answer wasn't no, it was more not right now. And just assuming that CMP Dave has his sources and he's 100% legit, seeming that this is actually the case here, I mean, don't these factors perfectly align with what Peyton Krebs' profile is? Not happy with just being bridged on his deal and bumped out of his position in the lineup from a trade. He was supposed to be the third-line center until Ryan McLeod came knocking down, and you also had Sam Lafferty that was added on too, who can be a center option as well. It made things a lot more difficult for Peyton Krebs to be given guaranteed ice time. And as a result, you scroll down here, Peyton Krebs was getting 9-10 minutes a night. Some nights he wasn't even playing, but of course, it all varies based off of which game you're looking at here. But Krebs is a talented young piece, a guy who, back in that 2019 draft, I said he might have had the best work ethic in the entire draft class. Him, Turcotte, Podkolzin, a lot of these guys were near the top of the draft in terms of effort, and Peyton Krebs had the playmaking and the point-producing skill on top of that. I mean, he had 68 points in 64 games played that draft season after all. Kootenay wasn't really all too great, and then the next season he had 60 points in 38 games. So Peyton Krebs was always a really good player, but in Buffalo he isn't really being used to the best of his abilities here. Now, for Calgary, a team that's doing really well and could potentially be in a spot to bolster up their team with some young talent because they are doing well, maybe is Krebs that guy? Who really knows? Let's scroll down into the replies of this tweet over here. People are speculating it's either Krebs or Zegras or Chinakhov or Turcotte or Rossi. It's definitely Krebs. He's 23 and the Sabres traded for McLeod, which bumped him down the lineup. Not to mention he was also extended 2 years back in September. Krebs checks all the boxes here and he would be so cool to have. Not Krebs. He sucks. Peyton Krebs just signed a 2 by $1.45 million bridge deal, got demoted to the fourth-line center from the Ryan McLeod deal, and then there are some others, Pinto, Rossi, Newhook, Nashus, Zegras. A lot of people are talking about Peyton Krebs. So, do you think this is possible? I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the idea of Peyton Krebs being a Calgary Flames trade target? Somebody that they might have actually tried to make a trade for already. Who knows when this was going down, if this was a recent thing or if this was from the offseason in the summer. I mean, I don't really know if the Buffalo Sabres would have been willing to trade away a guy that they just signed $1.45 million, but if you consider the fact that he was supposed to be a much better player than just a fourth-line plug and that he was demoted, maybe there is some sort of an unhappiness here that could be presented if you really dig into the details. But either way, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you're a Calgary Flames fan, how do you feel about the idea of your team targeting Peyton Krebs of the Buffalo Sabres? Do you think this is a trade that you want to see your team do? Why or why not? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. 99 and bye.